today I want to talk about how important it is to not overpressure yourself and just launch super small stuff that's a solution for a simple problem. How many of you have worked on some of their own apps and never finished them? How many people spent more than a month trying to finish it and it still didn't work? Okay, so what we're going to do now is in the next 30 minutes, file a new project and launch the app and maybe even make some money depending on if people here like it. Well, see you later. So 2 days ago, I was sitting with Bruin and we were talking about, okay, what kind of app should I make? Who here develops for the Vision Pro? Can we actually turn the lights in the room on so I can see people? Because it's going to be a white. Okay, so not a lot of people for Vision Pro. So one of the problems when you're developing for Vision Pro is the way you need to make screenshots. You'll run into something. So I have iOSKonf24 open here somewhere. And let me just go to a Vision OS app. And if you take a screenshot in the regular simulator, the problem is that they come out in the wrong resolution. So if I go to my Vision Pro screenshots and I drag these screenshots on, it will tell me the dimension of the screen of more screenshots are wrong, which is quite annoying, right? Because that would mean every time you take a screenshot on simulator, you have to go to Sketch, resize it, and then put it in there. So we're going to make a little app that solves that. That's the only thing it's going to do, but it's going to save time every time you have to do this, and especially if you have a lot of localizations, it can be very useful. So the first thing we need to do is come up with a really good name, because that's where people get stuck, right? The first time, like, all right, I'm going to make an app, but I don't know the name. So it's not really important to have a good name. And to show you, I have an app I made a few years ago that lets people scan products for allergies, and hopefully this will load. And this project is called Suzy, but if I open the Suzy Xcode project, which I guess is not even on here now, that project is still named CloudKit UI Test. There's no CloudKit in that project at all. I tried to solve it at some point, but the problem is that everything breaks as soon as you do that. So I end up just leaving it be CloudKit UI Test. So we're going to make a Vision Screenshot Resizer. So let's just call it Vision Screenshot Resizer. So you don't have to worry about what's the perfect name for an app. No one cares. Just make something that's descriptive. No one's going to think, oh, this is a great, fantastic name. And again, you can always change the name later. If you really think that the name that you come up with 2 weeks from now is better, just launch it again and say, this is 1.1 and now it's called Vision Sizer, whatever. So don't worry about all that stuff, because all those things are not important. Now, obviously, we have 30 minutes, so I'm not going to do a lot of coding, because I have a friend of that for me that can help me with that. So I want to make an app where the user can put different screenshot files, PNGs, into the app, and then the app should resize them to the resolution 1920 by 1080. The user should be able to drag and drop the screenshots on, and after that, they should automatically be saved in the same folder that the user dragged the files from. So this is a prompt that I'm going to use for ChatGPT. Let's just see. And this is not to show how great ChatGPT is, but just like you can make something super small and still, like, what's the smallest solution for a problem? It's like putting files in, getting files out. You don't need to have a fancy UI. You don't need to have all these toggles for like what's the different resolution, what export format you want. No, just solve the problem. You can do all those things later. So in the meantime, because we want to get the URL where the user is at, we're just going to turn off sandboxing, because we're not going to use the App Store for this. And that's also one way that you can actually ship something in 30 minutes. Otherwise, you would take 30 minutes going through all of App Store Connect. So we're going to be using Gumroad, which I'll show in a bit. So this is, yeah, I should have probably said use it in SwiftUI. Make the code in SwiftUI for Xcodes. And it's nice that the new ChatGPT 4.0 came out, because it's a lot faster. So hopefully in a few seconds, you should be able to get most of the code there. Worst case, I have a sample project I made from last night when I had good Wi-Fi, because it's 100 lines of code, so I'm not trying to cheat here by pretending to not make it all live. And it's also not really about the coding part, because the thing that I want you all to take away is that good apps and useful apps are not necessarily like great apps from an architectural point of view or from a big UI or design thing. It's more important that you make something that helps people, and then over time you can get better. But if the core problem that you're trying to solve is not solved for people, they're not going to care. So this seems to be doing about what I want. I'm going to copy it, and we'll see where it goes, and maybe we'll have to change some stuff later. Make the size a little bit bigger. Always nice when it comes up with like a hallucination for a feature that doesn't exist. I'm not going to debug this. I'm just going to take that project from yesterday. So hope you don't mind. It did the same process, but with ChatGPT, and it came out correct. So this is 100 lines of code, not even 100. Well, yeah, 100 lines of code. And, oh, sorry. Let's see if I can quickly debug this. Why is it crashing on this now? Okay, so we have a little screenshot resizer. We can go through the code, but it's very basic. It just, you put a URL in and it resizes it. So I take these screenshots from before, and they come out, and now they used to be at 2732 2048, and now they are at 1920 by 1080, which is actually not the resolution we want. I just used that because ChatGPT, it's easier to do that one. So we want this one. So that way it comes out in the right size for App Store Connect. So let's try it again. And now we have the right size. So to show that it actually works, we go to App Store Connect again. And in theory, we've already solved the problem now. Obviously, it doesn't look that great yet. So we're going to do a little bit of tweaking because, of course, if you can spend a few minutes to make it a little bit nicer, it's worth it. But just don't spend 30 minutes, don't spend 2 hours like going over how an icon should look or how the design of a button should look. So our resized screenshots, and now they appear. So it's 11 minutes past 4. We started a little bit late, so in 8 minutes, we made an app that solved the problem. That was the easy part. Now comes the hard part, because what should your app icon look like? We can go use DALL-E and stuff. It creates these weird aspect ratios. So I used an app I made myself for a similar problem. All right, what should an icon look like? All right, just grab an SF symbol or an emoji. So we'll take the goggles emoji, and I need a number. 7. So we're going to get the 7th random color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so this is going to be your color for the app. All these things don't matter. You can update it in 1.1. You can update it not. You cannot update it. Make it a little bit bigger. Generate icons. And we have our app icon. So basically the app is technically ready to ship now, but now's the time when we make it a little bit nicer. So obviously the UI here is a bit janky, so we're going to make it a little bit nicer so that it doesn't have all this extra padding. But beyond like adding the screenshots in, we also want to add one more feature, and that's a roadmap. Because we want it to make it easy for potential users, even of this very first version, to give feedback on what we should be adding. Because otherwise you're just putting something out there, a very basic version, but you have no way to know like what next features you should be working on. So let me first get rid of some of the ugly design on the sides. So I think it's because there's this max width on this thing, and there's this very ugly border around it. Let's see what this does. Okay, still not great, but it gets the job done. And again, like you can change all these things later, because no one's going to care about how beautiful your app looks. They're just going to care that they take their 20 screenshots, put it in, and all of a sudden they have resized screenshots. Obviously, we could do stuff like when you hover over it, you have a nice little view, but all those things are not important now. The only thing that I want to add is just a usability thing that like right now you need to drag it and you really need to add it on top of the text. So really try to think, okay, what's the minimal useful version of this app? Simple solution is just add some color in the background, and that should now get the job done. Maybe not. If anyone knows, this is also the moment where I'm just going to ask for feedback if anyone knows how to fix it. I think it's... One more time? So this is also a good segue to another one of my lessons on this, is that it's good to have people around you that you can ask feedback from, and also that you can share these kind of things with. People that are friendly, or at least, well, friends or friendly at least, so that you don't care about showing them like super rough stuff that you know is like ugly. I have a little group chat with Hida and a few other friends that still not working. I guess let's see if we can make it red. Maybe that solves it. Okay, so for some reason, this is the area. Yeah, but the thing is that only that small box gets. Would this be it? I doubt it. Okay, we can fix that in 1.1. It's fine. Again, version 1.1. So we made this SPM package called Roadmap, which makes it like super easy to add a roadmap to your app. But what's easier is just opening an old project of mine that already has roadmap implemented, and then I can just copy the code, make a new file in here, and just add it there. And wrong projects. Sorry. One of the things that's nice about making small projects and not worrying too much about if it's perfect is that you can reuse the code you make for this project in your next ones. So a lot of the projects I make, they start as sort of a 2-hour prototype. And it's like, all right, can I actually make this functionality and does it work? So there's no intention there for releasing it. It's just, can I solve my own problem? But the nice thing is that the next time I want to do something similar, I can just take that code that took me 2 hours maybe, and now it just takes me 2 minutes because I can just copy it in from the other projects, and it probably just works. So I'm going to remove some stuff here that's not in this project, but this basically makes it easy now for me to have like the same style, the same design as I use in the other projects by just reusing code. And I think a lot of people always think like, oh, I'm not going to make this app because it would take me too long, or like there's no use in not finishing it. But like even a half-finished project or something that you launch that's functional, can be useful in the future, even if that particular app doesn't go anywhere or if no one else uses it. So now there's a few stuff in this is only in the old project, and one of the other ones is a small button, and there's this button that Hida made from years ago, and it's basically a button I use in all my apps now because it helps me do stuff like accessibility, and it looks a lot nicer than a normal button. So again, I could just go to another project, grab the small button, just put it at the bottom of this file because it doesn't matter. It's like it's a 1.0 release. You don't need to think about perfect architecture for the project. Remove some stuff that we're not using, and a few more things that we're not using. But then, like within a few minutes, you can basically get almost there. You can basically get fully functional roadmap with buttons that apply accessibility because that's already been done on my other projects before, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra button here at the top. It's going to use that new style, and that's basically just going to show roadmap is true. Roadmap, and again, because it's a button that I use everywhere, it has like accessibility help text built in, so I have to add it, otherwise I cannot add the button. So that's a nice reminder to make sure that even your first version becomes accessible. Vote on new features in the roadmap. Does anyone have a favorite color? The first one gets it. I heard pink. The app I made last week at Chicago was also pink, so another color. I like teal because it's not blue. All right, so then we add the sheet modifier so we can actually show. Yeah, and there's this other thing from the other project that we're not using, so now it should work. Let's see. We're just going to let everyone vote, so it doesn't matter. Next time I should just skip this stuff out because it doesn't really matter what the code does. And we can let everyone vote. This would be, for example, to only let pro users vote. I'm not sure where the border came from again. You know what? Because I reused that old project from yesterday, I now have 2 projects, so that's probably why. Let's quickly do this, but yeah, that's why it's live coding. Add the button, and we should. Yeah, now I'm thinking like, should I go into the new project or the old one? Okay, let's see. It's probably easier just to get rid of this. We don't want the border, and what was the other thing? We want this to be on everything. Let's see. And we're going to make the text a little bit bigger. All right, so now we have a roadmap, but the thing is that the roadmap doesn't have, it has whisper the features from the other app. So the only thing we need to do is we need to add a roadmap for our own project. We could do this remotely. I put it on a web server somewhere so that users can vote, that we can update it dynamically, but that would mean that you would have to have a server for the first release. New mic? Okay.
Short break.
Does this work? Yes? Okay. All right, so we're almost ready. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the roadmap from MacWhisper, and we're just going to hard code it into the app so that we just have a hard coded roadmap. So if we're making a screenshot resizer, what kind of features would be nice to add here? Yeah, what kind of features would be nice? Does anyone have any suggestions? Sorry, give me 1 sec. Bad idea to ask a question and then also do the coding live. So we can basically just put in JSON, we add a title and then an ID, and from that moment on, those will be in the roadmap. So give me three new features I should add. Presets. What kind of presets would that be? What do you mean, sizes? But it's only for vision. So other devices, okay. Support for other devices. All right, what else? Good one. Because the resolution of these screenshots we get might be different than the actual resolution, like the aspect ratio. So right now we just hard crop it. So that means it's going to maybe look ugly in certain cases. We could add support for different styles there, but if it works for me already now, there's no need in having that in version 1. But it could be nice to add as a feature. More cropping options. What else? Sorry? Choose output destination folder, something like that. Device frame, yeah, all right. So add device frame. So right now, all these statuses are planned. Obviously, we could say like investigating or maybe coming soon. But for now, this will work. And now all we have to do is basically just hard code that URL so that we always just use that one. All right, so now if we open the roadmap, it should show the features that we just... Why is this not working? Maybe I didn't add it to the project. I did. Again, if there's anyone that knows the answer, now's the time to say it. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Let's do it again. That's probably going to give me an error because I have 2. But it's fine. Worst case, we don't have. Okay, so now people can just vote, and this will automatically happen, and then we can see, okay, what should we be making? So I think with that, we actually have a first version of the app. So we have the name, we have an icon. Basically, we're ready to go. We'll make it 14.0 because we don't really care about any new features. So this is now archiving, and what we're going to do is we're just going to send it to Apple to notarize, which basically is a way to make sure that your app runs outside of the App Store, and that people don't get a message saying like, hey, this is from an unidentified developer. And while that's happening, we're actually going to go to our storefront. So I use Gumroad for a lot of my apps, so I put them on App Store and on Gumroad, and it's basically a third-party marketplace. And the reason I like it so much is because it's literally 1 minute to make like a store and have it be live. So Vision screenshot. Let me just screenshot resizer. It's a digital product, and I'm just going to make the price 0+. And basically, what this means is that it's going to be free, but people can choose to pay if they want. And the reason for this is that it takes away all the pressure. Like, I don't care if there's bugs because you don't pay for it. I don't care if it lacks features because you don't pay for it. So there's no need for me now to worry that someone's going to download the app and have a bad experience because, yeah, I'm not setting the expectations higher. And this is actually an approach I started doing a few years ago, and I lied because I do have some slides. I just need to put them in Xcode. Because this is me. I'm Jordi, an indie app developer. I make a lot of apps. Some do well, some don't do as well, but they're all solving problems. And one of the things I made 2 years ago was an app for ChatGPT, which allowed you to put ChatGPT in your menu bar. And this was literally the code that I needed to write for that. So I took an existing app I made, and I had this web view wrapper, which is just a normal web view. And all I did was hardcode chat.openai.com. And this is what it looked like, the first version. I put it on Gumroad just like I did now. It took me 20 minutes. Put it up for free, and then in the first month, even though it was free, it made $5,000. So I did not plan that. I put a little photo of a Christmas tree, like, hey, you can support me by buying a Christmas tree. And then it was like, you can support me by also buying a Christmas tree for my mom, because like the prices kept going up. But as long as you're solving a problem, yeah, people like solutions, and they don't care about what it looks like. And over time, I made that app into a bigger thing. But yeah, it started as that super simple thing. So this is now ready. So what we can now do is we can just take the file. I'm just going to put it on the desktop, and okay, so we don't have the icon in this one. So do we care about not having an icon? Yes. Okay. Yeah. There's some things that we have to have for V1. You're right. So we'll just add the icon again. And we're just going to notarize again. And I'm going to turn on the notarization, and I'm going to go back to Gumroad, because this can take a while. So on Gumroad, basically, all you have to do is say the name and a little description. And the description I'm not even going to type because it takes too long. This is a very simple app where you can put screenshots from the Vision OS simulator, and it will export them in the right file size. This is a bad description, sorry. Still going to use it. We can just adjust it. But like you don't have to overthink of like, what does your app do? Do I make like a big feature list? No, just explain as if you would to a friend what it does, and that's all you need to do. From the Vision Simulator, it will export them in the right dimensions for adding to App Store Connect. This is not proper English. Also, it doesn't matter. You can just update it in 5 minutes. The name is Vision Screenshot Resizer. And now we need like some images, right? Because you need a screenshot. I usually use Sketch for this, and basically what I do is I just take a background of Sonoma, which hopefully now loads. Okay, I'm just going to do a new one. And then we take a screenshot of our app. We put that here. We take a screenshot of the folder that we have. And we put that to the side. And in theory, we would already have a screenshot that's useful now, but we can make it a little bit nicer. It needs to be a certain dimension. But again, like your screenshot also doesn't have to be like this fancy, super fancy thing. It's like just what's the simplest way that you can explain to a user what the app is going to do. So I think actually in this case we probably want to make this a little bit, resize a little bit like this, because the focus is not on the app, it's the focus is on what happens in the Finder. Yes. And I guess we can just put the screenshot where in the Finder it has the resized images as well. Again, this could be nicer. This could be a separate folder or something, but it works, and we can tweak that stuff later. So now we have our screenshot. I'm just gonna put that on the home screenshot. Then we make that our cover, and we make that same cover our screenshot, so we don't have to make two different ones. We can add a thumbnail. It's not important. Anything else? I think we're good to go. Now we just need to upload the file. Now, hopefully it's ready. It is. So now we have a nice little icon. Compress it and upload it, and now it should be live in 10 seconds. And now comes the hard part, right? Because now we need to do marketing, and now we need to do all these other things that are also difficult to do. Again, you don't need to worry about this stuff because you're just putting something super small out there. There's no stakes. No one cares if it's bad. What will probably happen is that 10 people download this. But it doesn't matter because you solved your own problem, so there's no, you don't need external validation of what you're doing. So we should now be able to go to our app, and as you can see, it's available now. Description, people can choose to pay 5 or whatever. If they would do, I want this, goes to a sales page, and you can buy it. And now everyone here is, of course, thinking, I want to buy this. How do I do that? Well, all you have to do is scan this QR code. But before you buy it, if you want to buy it, a good example of another small tool I made just for myself is Gumroad, which I use, has an API. And I wanted to make a little tool so that I could see if there were sales coming in. But I also wanted to make another tool that would play a little sound every time someone bought one of my apps. So if some of you... So every time someone buys the app now, we'll hear that little sound. So if you feel like adding some music to the room, that's something you could do. So what we're going to do now is do your marketing, right? So we take the screenshot that we made because it shows really clearly what the app does. Obviously, I have the extra marketing pitch now. If I made an app during a talk, so that's obviously nice. But this could also just be, I just made an app that takes a Vision OS screenshot, simulator screenshots, and resizes them to the size that App Store Connect wants. Oh, and I made it live during my talk at iOSKonf in Macedonia. And I should probably tag the conference. And of course, you want to make it a little bit more personal, so you want to add maybe... thank you. I'm not sure who it is. And the nice thing is, I'm not going to take a little photo of me making it. And the reason I'm adding that into the tweet is because it makes it more personal, because it's more about hey, Jordi solved the problem for himself. It's not about the app. It's about hey, I made this little thing, and I made it in this certain scenario, in this case, in front of you all. But it could be hey, I ran into this thing with the Vision OS simulator. I found it annoying. Here's the solution. So try to tell a little bit more about the story of why you made it and not necessarily what it functionally does, because people don't really care about technical details. They care about a solution for a problem. So this is not the best photo, but yeah, I'm just going to put it in. Let's see what happens. I should also probably put the link there as well. So just take this. And is Twitter going to be okay with... What is this? All right. Doesn't matter. Okay, so the thing is that hike, or whatever it's called, it's not supported, I think, by Twitter, which does not make any sense. So just take a screenshot and put the screenshot in. And let's try again. So this was the hardest part, right? Oh, what's the right way to put it out into the world? And obviously it's easier because I have quite some followers on Twitter. And I have a little cheat code as well where I have this group chat with Antoine, Vanderlee, Hidde, and another friend of ours, Niels. Hey guys, I just made this. Would love a retweet, especially from you. Thank you. Especially from you, Antoine. Antoine has a lot of followers. But, of course, everyone in this room can also retweet this. So if you go to this QR code and you feel like retweeting, so I think the lesson there is like, just like find your little group of people that want to support you on this stuff. And it doesn't have to be thousands of people. It can just be a few people, because maybe you make something that inspires someone else to like, oh, how did you do that? Oh, could you maybe send me the code for that resizing thing? Like, it's 20 lines of code. I probably now know more about resizing an image on macOS than Hidde, because I've done something with it. I don't know, Hidde, maybe you've done stuff with it. And every time someone buys it, Skopje will play in the room, by the way. I'm not sure, I don't think she actually sings Skopje. Thank you. It's a good song. So in the 29 minutes since we started this talk, I've now made €6. Thank you. Launched an app. It solved the problem. Every Vision OS developer who is working with the simulator can now use this, and actually, it makes that process a lot easier. And now, of course, you can add other features over time, because we can look at the roadmap now. For example, I'm not sure if anyone. I don't see anyone with the laptops out, so I don't think we got any new votes on roadmap. But yeah, I'm just trying to show that it doesn't have to be this big thing that you're making, because in the end, it's only about keeping, not getting stuck. And everything you can do to stop getting stuck, it makes it a lot easier to keep going. So every time I work on something where I get stuck for more than 20 minutes, I just try to move it to the next update. Oftentimes it doesn't really care, it doesn't really matter. You can come up with a different solution for it that's maybe simpler, maybe not better, but it's always easier to work in little increments. So yeah, I think that's sort of the core idea of what I'm trying to say here today. I have this little list of things I shouldn't forget. Thank you. Let me just check if I didn't miss anything, but I think, yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah, I think the main thing I'm trying to say is you can update everything. You don't have to get it right from the start. You don't even have to get it right on version 5.0, as long as you just get it out there. So hopefully you can now use these tools to actually get your stuff out there. And if you are stuck on anything, come up to me afterwards and I'll tell you what you can skip and get it out there before the end of the after party. Thank you.